In the legal world, there is a combination of forces that feed a corrupt and suffocating legal system for attorneys. Law schools, law professionals, judges, and even the firms themselves for whom you work create a system, a matrix, if you will, that is nothing like what you thought when you passed the bar exam. The purpose of this podcast is to help you escape this legal matrix, leading you out of the proverbial desert to be free of the bondage of the matrix. Hosted by Bryce D. Nyer, attorney at law with over 30 years experience in the trenches of civil and criminal litigation at the state, federal, and international levels. He's a highly accomplished and resourceful legal professional, a true master of his craft, and he's here to help you get your life back. Here's your host, Bryce D. Nyer.
All right. It's another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix with yours truly, Bryce D. Nyer, in the house tonight. Ooh. And we've got our Labrador Retriever, Drake, right down here at my feet. He's had a big day. He went to the coast this past weekend, and he had to go to the vet today. And he had some major stuff and on some major medications, but he'll be fine. He's just a little tired, but he loves going to the vet. Why? Because he can see all his friends there, and they give him treats, and he's happy. So, speaking of happiness, that's what we're going to talk about tonight, or unhappiness, depending upon where you are in your world. We're going to talk about this thing that I saw this morning, and it's called about the phantom exit. Some people can call it kind of quiet quitting, but the phantom exit was a little bit more detailed, and I just happened to kind of have a little bit of conversation. I guess it was last night. For me, it's about, midnight, 1 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Anyway, so I'm communicating with my producer of my podcast, the wonderful brother from a different mother, Bryce Prescott. And he's out there. I think he's in Arizona. Arizona, yeah, somewhere around there. Hopping around there, and it's hot out there too. But anyway, so this thing called the phantom exit. What is that really about? Well, when I was reading, and I've been reading recently, it's like, hey, when is it time to let go of your identity, your profession, or what you do? When is it you just get so done and you're like, hey, I have this lifespan and I have this health span, and if the health span goes, it's going to shorten the lifespan, and they're both interconnected. And how long should we work? And, are we passionate about our work? Or do we love it? Do we enjoy it? Do we want to do it to the very day that we die? Now, saying that, there are a few people that love what they do for a living. I haven't met very many lately, but there are those out there that really love what they do and they want to keep doing it. And even though some of them are in their 70s, maybe their 80s, their position is, hey, I keep my mind active, I keep my body active, and I'm not going to lay around and just wait and die, and let my mind go to mush. And I think that's what can happen when you retire or you leave a job or do whatever it is you do and you really have no particular purpose. Now, on the other hand, I saw this really, this post from a young guy. I don't know, I guess maybe he's in his 30s, maybe he's 40s. He seemed pretty young to me. And he just was saying, I'm just tired of trying to be the best version of me or the best version I can be. Sometimes I just want to be who I really am. And I kind of thought about that because all you've been hearing like in the last 6 to 10 years is all these life coaches, this be the best version of you, be the best version of who you can be all you can be, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I get it. You don't want to sit around and be a sloth and let your body and your mind go to waste and just not have any type of targets or impossible games or goals in your life. I get it. I mean, that's the whole thing about going through life is climbing the hill and attaining things that are worthwhile and are productive and things that are good. So I'm not talking about going like embezzling for people or creating criminal empires or drug cartels or anything like that. So don't take it that way because that's not what we're talking about. Not at all. But this thing about this phantom exit, because I've talked to so many people in this profession, this legal profession, this legal matrix, and people in law enforcement and other things associated with kind of where my world is. And of course, even people in the military, because I'm here in the Fort Bragg area. And people get to a point where they're just like mentally and emotionally and spiritually, they've left the house. They've left the building. I mean, they're just physically there, but their mind and their spirit and their emotions are somewhere else. And so what happens is they slowly start to migrate, so to speak, or they start to shift to this other path, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, to where they're just like, they're not there anymore. It's the same thing you see in divorce, where at some point when one or both make a decision that, hey, I'm done and I'm going to go. In most cases, and I know because I've litigated for decades in family law, especially, that people, they left a long time ago. They left the marriage a long time ago before they physically left the marriage. They were just done emotionally, mentally, spiritually. They were just done. And I see this more and more where people begin to question, like, do I sit here and I'm in my 20s and 30s and work another 30 or 40 years to reach this, that, and the other, and I'm missing everything. And, I thought about that as well, too, because I was having this conversation with somebody this morning. And, the young folks, I don't want to rag on everybody in their 20s and 30s. I think people that are teens in their 20s and 30s, it's always a different generation. But I think a lot of people these days, they feel entitled. They do. And they're so caught up in their gadgets and their smart devices that they're really missing out on living because they're so attached to the small screen. That's becoming the way of the world, which I don't think is healthy and I don't think is a good thing. And all this AI stuff. But getting back to what we're talking about, if I was 22 and right out of college or 18 right out of high school, I'd be looking and saying, I'm looking at my parents, my grandparents, who have worked all these decades and stuff, and some of them just seem so miserable, and they're just counting the time to, can't wait till I can get Medicare and get my Social Security and my 401k. And I'm like, and they're looking at that and they're like, well, if these people are complaining about the grind for 30 and 40 years, then what the hell am I doing? What am I doing? Is that what I want to do? So I can understand at times when young folks, young kids, and their 20s say, you know what? I want to travel. I want to see the world and I want to experience things. And I don't necessarily just want to be bogged down in a 8 to 5 and, slaving away all the time and just not living. I'm just sitting there occupying space in an office. And don't get me wrong, I don't see anything wrong with employment. We all need it, unless you're a trust fund, baby. But I can understand some of the younger generation's views. I'm like, look, I'm healthy now. I can travel. I'm physically fit, because in decades down the road, a lot of folks are not going to be physically fit to be able to travel, to walk upstairs, to hike, to do these things. And they'll sit and say, man, I wish I'd gone here. I wish I'd gone there. Because after 55 or 60, a lot of people, their health starts to deteriorate. Now, so it's their fault. They just sit around and eat crap and drink crap and don't exercise and don't do anything. And their whole life, they've just lived something that wasn't very healthy, and it breaks their body down and it catches up with them and it accelerates. But this thing about this phantom exit is that I see a lot of people just not saying anything. They're just slowly backing out of their lives, away from people, away from situations, away from relationships, selling stuff, and saying, I just don't want it anymore. I don't want a house. I don't want to own all this crap. I don't want to be tied down to it. I'm pumping all this money into it. And for what? For somebody else to own it, for somebody else to inherit it, and I get it. I get it. I mean, think about it. When is the last time, seriously, that you really were able to take time away from the world, so to speak, away from work, away from problem people, toxic people, whatever the hell you want to call them. When was the last time that you could successfully take a week or two and just go somewhere and experience you? And I would venture to say that it's an exceptionally small percentage of you listening to this right now, or a small percentage in the world. Now, I sit there and I've watched recently a top lawyer in this country, one of the top, no doubt. And their policy of their associates, they pay them well, but they grind them to death. And they don't let them take more than a week at a time off. They're like 2 weeks straight. No, it's not going to happen. And then I'm like, okay, I guess, you got, but the point is, when does the grind stop? What's the trade-off? What's the pros? What's the cons? And what I'm seeing now is a lot of people are just like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to miss my kid's birthday, or to miss my kid's graduation, or to miss my kid's graduation from basic training or advanced training in the military, or, or some special event. People are getting tired of it. They're getting tired of the rat race where the rats are winning. And so a lot of them become the phantom exit happens. And pretty soon, you know what? You come home and that person is no longer there. It's just a ghost. Just a ghost. They're gone. I see this more and more and more every day. Hell, sometimes I feel that way. There are times I'm just like, I'm done too. I've done a podcast on being done, where you've done everything for everybody. It's just a constant grind, the constant deadlines, the constant stress, the constant complaining. And you're just like, I don't want to hear anymore. I've done my time on the front line, and it's like somebody younger can pick up the mantle and just run with it. And so people, they begin to do this phantom exit. You see this a lot now, like in divorce. Do you know that the fastest growing, from what I've read, the statistics, the fastest growing area of divorce is not the young people. It's the gray divorce, it's a silver divorce. I've talked about this before. People in their 60s. Yeah. It's like skyrocketing. And a lot of it's because people are like, kids are gone, whatever. And I'm just tired of this person. I'm tired of living this way. And I'm just done. I've done this for 30, 40 years, and I don't want to do it anymore. Now, I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. God hates divorce. I get it. I hate divorce. Divorce sucks. It can really destroy a lot of things, okay? It just does. No question about it. But I'm seeing this more and more. I'm seeing people just wake up and they go, you know what? I just don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be told what to do. I just want to phantom exit myself right out of this relationship, right out of this marriage, right out of whatever the hell I'm doing. I just want to get the hell out of here. And I can understand it. Right or wrong, I can understand it. There have been days in my life to where I really loved what I was doing, and I loved the people I was working with, and I loved my bosses. And I was like, man, if I could just freeze this in time and we never grow older and we just stay here in this environment, man, I just, that was just golden. I mean, I remember that, especially one time when I was a young first lieutenant executive officer with one of my commanders. And this guy, oh man, he was fantastic. He could walk into a room and everybody felt just like calm and at ease. I mean, you felt at peace, and he was one of the best commanders, best officers I ever met in my entire life. And I loved being his executive officer, his second in command. I loved every day of it. And the day that I had to move to another unit, because, you move, you get promoted, or you move to different assignments, I felt like crying. I was just like, man, I was just beside myself. But you grow older. You grow older, and you're going to get promoted, and you're going to then be a captain, and you got to take a different position and stuff. But man, that's the kind of feeling I liked. I just felt, man, this is great, because I didn't want to phantom exit out of that. My battalion commander had different ideas for me, and different put me in another unit that they needed another officer over there. And again, eventually we all grew up, move on, especially if you're in the military. You understand that, to different duty positions, and sometimes that's a good thing. But the point I'm making here is that There are some times in our lives that things are just so great and you don't want a phantom exit. But the majority of the time in today's world I see is a lot of people just have lost that love and feeling. They've lost that passion for what it is they do. And I still think a lot of it culminates because of the burnout, because your nervous system is just on overload constantly and constantly and constantly and constantly. There's just no let up, absolutely no let up. And I think this is something critically important that we all have to look at. I mean, God never promised us. Jesus never promised us an easy life. He never said that. They never, ever said that. In fact, in Scripture, you will see people going through trials and tribulations, testing their faith for the promise after death. You know, the eternal salvation, new body, all that. Sounds like a good deal to me. Because in this life, it's filled with trials and tribulations on this planet. And I just see more and more people taking a really, really good look and go, man, is this really worth it? Is it really worth it to work myself to death, or I have a stroke and I can't talk anymore and I can't move anymore? For what? For what? What are we selling anymore? What are we doing anymore? This phantom exit's it's not a myth. It's happening. I'm watching it in my profession. I'm watching other professions of people I know that have been doing it for 20, 30 years. They're like, man, I'm just done. I just don't have anything else left to give. How do we get to that point? How do we get to that point? For you folks coming out of high school right now, or college, or technical training, whatever it is, the years will fly by. You've got to think right now, today, where do you want to be 10 and 20 years down the road? What do you really want? What do you really want to do? Don't live on the smartphones. Don't live on the smart devices. If you hand over your life to AI and all that, you're done. You're just done. Because see, that word artificial is always there. But if you live long enough and you do something long enough, depending upon what you do, you may come to that crossroad of the phantom exit, of where you silently start checking out of the net. And before you know it, everybody's looking around and it's kind of like the rapture. You're just gone. All right. So ask the better question. Where in your world are you considering the phantom exit? It's been a great night, great evening, great day, whatever time zone you're in. So this has been Bryce D. Nyer with another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix, the topic, the phantom exit, and other things we talked about. And Drake, the Labrador Retriever, who is still asleep and snoring right here at my feet because it was a big day at the vet today. So till next week, I'll be signing off. So listen, take care of yourselves. And remember, I'm here around the Fort Bragg area. Every day, men and women do what? They don a uniform and wage war against those who seek to take the very freedoms that we so often take for granted. This is Bryce out.